Hey, everybody, welcome to another session of the Coalition. And this is the part where we do Eyes on Pawtucket. We haven't been on for a couple of weeks, but we're here now, and that's all that matters. And we have quite an interesting show coming up for you guys. My voice has been a little bit off, so forgive me. It's always been a little deep, but I'm trying to get it back. It's been coming back and forth, but I'm one of your hosts, Christine Bento. And I just want, before I introduce anybody else that's on, I want to let everybody know, don't forget to go to YouTube and click like and subscribe there on the Coalition Radio. And don't forget to go to Facebook and look up the Coalition and also the Eyes on Pawtucket page. You guys can follow what we're doing, leave us comments and whatever you'd like to put down as your concerns. You can also leave a comment here. We do have Councilwoman Melissa Rosa on tonight, along with our co-host Lynn Farinelli. You can answer any questions via the comment section. You won't hear too much of me tonight because I'm going to leave it up to them to give you guys some of the interesting information that we got going on. I will be monitoring the comment session, though, however, in case anybody needs anything answered. So, welcome again to our show, Eyes on Pawtucket. I'd like to start off by shouting out Pat Ford. I just saw him a few hours ago. Always busy, always doing his thing. Shout out to Pat Ford. And also K. Sean, he's an awesome producer. He's always there, very flexible. And, there's a lot going on in the city, a lot going on in the state. And sometimes we can't always get on. On a definite day of the week, but we definitely do come through when we have something to let you guys know about. So hope you guys all had a safe holidays. Lot of things going on with a lot of us. I had losses in my family, and there was my condolences going out to anyone who had a loss in theirs. So I'm going to leave it up to ladies to introduce themselves and let you guys know a little bit about what's going on. Before I do that, don't forget to go and check out our pages, Eyes on Pawtucket and the Coalition page, and order your t-shirts. They also got some sweatshirts and some hoodies available. So make sure you check that out. It helps us out a lot to continue what we're doing. So hello ladies, please introduce yourself.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. I am Councilwoman Melissa DeRosa at large in Pawtucket.
And I'm Lynn Farinelli, co-host with Christine Bento on Eyes on Pawtucket. So what do you want to talk about, Melissa? I mean, Councilwoman at large, Melissa DeRosa.
Yes, it's Councilor Lynn.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I get in trouble, not in trouble quite often, but I'm so used to calling some of my fellow councilors by their name. And it's just very respectful to say counselor, and it's just weird because you're just so used to, hey Melissa, how are you, right? Ladies, I actually wanted to talk to you guys about the violence that's happening in the community.
I think that's a great subject to start off with.
Yeah, what do you think, Christine?
Yeah, but I think that's great. I would like to join the conversation here and there, but you know me, I'm a little bit of a smart aleck. Uh, I don't like to make light of anything going on in the city. Um, However, sometimes I get a little confused as to who's actually responding to some of this stuff, if it's the public safety director or the chief, or because at the end of the day, Melissa, I'm not going out of my way to disrespect anyone, but the only person that I do see doing anything when any violence happens in the city is you. I'm starting to wonder where everyone else is. I mean, I know we have um, three councilmen at large that's responsible for an entire city. We also have councilmen that are responsible for the districts where these violence is happening, right? Um, but there's a really lack of response from those officials that are holding these titles that we look forward to seeing when something like this happens. So, and I don't want to be too negative about, the officials and all that, but at the end of the day, the reason why we have you on is because we really can't, we have no access to them. They make themselves pretty invisible, and we're not going to go jumping through hoops to invite anybody on that's not going to answer any questions. So, um, glad to have you on, and I'm glad that you're so involved. I just wish that, at the end of the day, if you can take a message back to your colleagues that we would like to see a few of them step up to the plate. Um, I mean, the mayor has hired and put together a mayor advisory group and hired so many liaisons, yet we still seem to get any answers or communication going on between community leaders and anyone in the city. So I'm not sure how many more layers has to be added. It just seems like a waste of, sorry, that's not a nice way to put it, but there's only way there is to put it. It's a waste of people. You got all these people with the same sounding titles, but no one's really active. You know what I mean? It's a little annoying. If you can touch base on that a little bit before we get into what actually happened, enlighten us a little bit as to what you see as councilman at large, um, on that end, as to why so many of your colleagues and so many city officials are so disrespectfully and blatantly unresponsive, just ignoring the issues that are actually, a concern to us.
Um, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that I have a um different experience with violence in the city of Pawtucket than the other counselors at large and the district counselors, mainly because for over a decade now, I've been an advocate for victims of crime. I once was a nonviolent street worker with the Institute of Nonviolence. I was the only Pawtucket street worker for a little while, and I responded to almost every homicide in the city of Pawtucket for years, and some in Providence and also Central Falls. Um, and I have been at crime scenes. I have been at the hospital. I have helped several mothers and fathers in that moment and at that time. And one of my jobs was to um, go out into the community to prevent more violence from happening. And that didn't always mean preventing, gang violence. A part of my job was to understand what were the dynamics that in the community that were causing violence. And so this is why I am so passionate about mental health, substance abuse, and violence prevention amongst other things, people being able to have a job in a affordable housing, the things that really affect our community and actually has it's it has causes for some incidents to lead to violent acts, right? um so I also have been organizing the Nonviolence Block Party here in Pawtucket for over 10 years now, where I have represented several family lost loved ones at a candle vigil that we host at the end of the night. And that vigil has ended up not only to be a vigil for victims of crime, but for people who have lost their life to other things other than violence, It can be sickness, it could be suicide, it can be a car accident. The point of the matter is that in order to have what I've learned at the Institute is that in order to have a healthy community, we have to be able to, one, educate each other, um, two, have, means of money, or, support our local mom and pop stores, have opportunities in the community to have work. We also need to be able to entertain each other and have parties and be together in peace. And we also, another part, need to be able to grieve together, because grief is just something that is natural. People pass every day. So something that came from, the visuals and being having all of this experience, I really understand how important certain things are to the community and what the value it is to it. And I know how important it is for the community to take a stand, a public stand against violence. Um, I know how important it is for people who are in that lifestyle to understand that this community has a zero tolerance for what they think they can do here, right? Um, so I have for several years come before the council and have asked, hey, when there are homicides, um, maybe it would be good idea for you to host a press conference, or to have, people speak to the news, have, community meetings, address these things maybe in the council, or at least show some compassion for the people who are victims and survivors of homicide, right? And of gun violence. And when I was just a regular resident, community leader, voter, um, the more and more I have pushed for this to happen, um, it did not. Um, and now that I am the council at large, I have gone out and asked the administration, to build this forefront of individuals where the community knows, where to go and how to get help and how to help us prevent more violence from happening. Um, I know how important it is for the community to have a positive relationship with its police chief, and to see its public safety director, and to see the mayor and the people who are at the top of the community be part of taking this stand against violence.
Right. So
And
it's
I
not.
don't,
Melissa,
Is
I
it
don't
is
want
it
to
safe? Is it
huh?
safe to say? Yeah. And one second. Is it safe to say, because uh, the way that I see it, as long as I've been dealing with a lot of the community issues and watching the council now, um, is it safe to say that most of the crime that's happening and most of the violence that's happening and most of the deadly shootings that's happening are affecting 90% of a minority community, um, and up until now, it's been majority white officials, white council, white city hall, white administration, white police department, white rescue. I mean, everything's majority um white people in badges or in the authority, and we're waiting on them to care. And I don't think they're ever going to. So I'm not expecting you to answer on or elaborate on that. But what I do want to ask you real quick is, what do you think is going on in the heads of minority in power, such as Vasquez. She's been sitting there for so long and she does absolutely nothing. It's not like we can ever count on her for anything. It's almost like I wonder if she even has an identity crisis going on or something. And again, that's me saying it. Um, I know that's your colleague and everything, but now we have Clovis, so we have I look at it like we have three minorities up there, right? But we're still having the same problem. Nobody can get the white ones to give a damn. So I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. So go ahead, Lynn.
I actually wanted to step in here just for a second, Melissa. I know that, for a decade at least, you've been very active in the community. And I'm just wondering, are you seeing the same response from the present chief public safety director that you saw with Paul King? I realize that you show up at these shootings, the crime scenes, the stabbings, and things like that. Did you see more of a presence and he wasn't my favorite person. I'm going to put that out there, but I, I think that I saw more of his face on the news, and I heard that he was at more of these activities that were going on in the city. Is that what you're feeling as well?
I definitely had a stronger and more positive relationship with Paul King than I had with anybody in that role in the city of Pawtucket, to be
Well,
quite honest. And I did see Paul King, you know, I ran into him on crime scenes. He, if you Google search the two chiefs, you will see the difference yourself. If you put their names in the Google search bar and put in and click the news section, and you will see the difference in what the public
well,
is
and the
saying.
thing is, Paul King was just the chief of police. Tina Gonzalez is actually not only the chief, but she's the public safety director, and she's invisible. I mean, that's what I see. I'm not seeing her on the news. I'm not seeing her come out with any kind of statements. And I'm hearing that she's not at these, the crime scenes. So I realized that she lives far, she doesn't live locally. She doesn't live in the city. She actually lives in Foster. So, and I do realize that she's using the vehicle to go to like Newport to march in a parade. But wouldn't it be better for her to, instead of going and marching in a parade, maybe actually do her job? That's what
Yeah,
I'm feeling
Lynn, I
that.
think you hit the nail right in the head. That's where I was going next with this. I'd like to say hi, Tiffany Cody. I know you're watching. Thanks for all the support, girl. Um, I, I think you hit the nail right in the head, Lynn. That's where I wanted to go with this. The Chief Paul King was only the chief, and he did 100 times more than than this chief is doing, and she's serving as the chief plus public safety director. So she is the boss and her own boss, and we're seeing zero of her. So I mean, at what point does the person who appointed her, who's the mayor, Donald Griffin, and I laugh because sometimes we say his name, it's like you're telling a joke. Um, but at what point does he realize that he has appointed someone to two positions that's not even doing a quarter or not even 2% of what the last chief was doing? I mean, is that the way he wants it? It's becoming a little bit sad to even like think about it. So I have to laugh about it because it's it's a circus. It's like a circus going on.
But
Um,
doesn't
we
he look at
asked
it
we
and
asked the council. We asked the council to have uh, a community group instead of a public safety director. They were all for it, and the mayor went and appointed her public safety director anyway. So I just don't understand if it's not working. When are we going to fix it?
So you guys know I love to agree with you guys and disagree with you guys in some cases, right? Because I do see some good stuff coming from our law enforcement, right? Um, and when I have spoken to some officers in the community, um, they highlight, you know, some some good things about her. So I can't say it's all bad. You know, what I can say is, and I'm going to get back to what both of you guys asked, is you said, you know, coming from being a minority woman here. And again, I have a, a whole different background than everybody else, right? Um, and an experience, and I'm not diminishing anybody else's experience. I'm just saying we all have different experiences here in the city. I know that for me, with all this experience and all this information I have, and seeing, just like you say, a lot of people who are Caucasian in this role, and I know that gun violence is plaguing the minority community, is destroying our Cape Verdean community right now. And I don't see enough people standing up, or enough people empowering or giving people the opportunity to take that stand here in Pawtucket. And here's the thing: we have the Institute of Nonviolence, right? But they can't do everything. They've been at our, you know, homicides. They are helping our victims, but there really needs to be an investment from the city to address, you know, these let me say, you know, social ills that are causing some of this, you know, community violence, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
for and then so hold on, Christine. And so I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of families that are in our city who have lost someone to gun violence, who feel a little neglected and a little abandoned because, you
a
know,
little,
someone and that whole and it could because they lost a child, and you know, and they didn't see much go on about their child, and you know, 48 hours later nothing was ever said again about that case in the
right,
public. And so people feel like, oh, you don't care, they don't care, they don't care, they don't care. And instead of addressing the community that feels like that, right? And these are the people who are getting affected by gun violence. These are the people who is proven, especially since the pandemic, right? That gun violence affected the Black community, fentanyl affected the Black community, mental health increased in the Black community, and that there was extreme disparities, you know, in the minority community right here in our state. And Pawtucket was one of the cities. So despite all the efforts that the administration and the chief did make, they were still a population that they was unable to touch. But if they really wanted to get to that population, then they would do everything in their power, right? To get all of this information and all of this good stuff that they're doing out. And
right.
so it does feel a little disheartening, and it's a little distasteful um to know that they don't want to um uh take the to that this isn't their leadership style,
Right.
that they are, you know, behind scenes, because behind scenes is not what the minority community needs right now.
Yeah, and let me just say
We
this because I've been saying this for so long, and I always say this, and I'm going to continue to say it because so many people still don't know it or they refuse to acknowledge it. Okay, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, is still the most diverse city in the state. Pawtucket is still majority minority community. There's more minorities than in it than white people. We pay more of the taxes in the city. Okay, so you would think that by now somebody would be paying attention to our community. Yet, let me word it this way for those that need it broken down really good, right? Um, Caverian, Hispanic, minority, black and brown, young men and women are being shot up in the streets, and the whites in power don't care to care. They don't care to even pretend like they're caring, right? Not even so much, right? We have missing minorities. We have moms standing outside the police department begging for the police to help look for her child because they're missing. And as long as it's a minority, the police don't budge. So I get when you say that the police think the chief is doing a good job. I expect them to say that because from day one, when she introduced herself and had a welcoming, her first words out of her mouth was, "My job is to make sure that the police get home safe." That is not her job. I corrected her. Her job as public safety director and as chief of police is to make sure that every single person in the city, whether they wear a badge or not, gets home safe. But I believe that her wording was what she believed. She didn't hear what I said. She didn't care what I had to say. Her job is to cater to the police, which is why you got police kind of talking good about her here and there. That's all she cares about. Now, back to my point is that when it's minority child missing, minority child being killed, a minority child committing the crimes, possibly, right? Nobody seems to care, especially the chief and the public safety director. Yet it's the minority tax money that's giving them extra money to have extra police, to hire more police, to hire more, to have more money to spend on community policing. A lot of money goes into that, but nothing comes back out. We don't see it. A lot of extra money going into all this stuff, right? Which the council is approving all this money. We're watching all of our money go to all these programs, all these departments that don't care to even answer to our community. Okay. And I'm going to end my point by saying they refuse to deal with ongoing issues, with, with the present crime going on, the present violence going on, loss of life going on right now. They refuse to deal with that. That's, obviously minority geared, right? Yet they were so quick to bring up a, I don't know, 30-year disappearance or homicide of Christine Cole and blame a minority man. And they were wrong. Okay. But they rather go take a cold case and give themselves props by pretending like they found the person who did it, who's a minority man. They got it all wrong because it wasn't him. But they won't care too much about the ongoing stuff happening today. I think that's very disturbing. And
Well,
I don't see why the council keeps on approving more and more funding to these shenanigans going on because nothing's really getting done daily or up to date stuff. It's always
I'm
them
not
trying
gonna
to
say
take
that I I one of them things, right? I don't want to take any tools or anything away from law enforcement that will help them to do their job because right now I need them to do their job. There is so much going on in the community that they are I believe, a very important piece to this. Something else that they taught me in the institute was that, well, one of the principles of nonviolence is that the beloved community is the goal, right? And I don't exclude law enforcement from that beloved community. I think that all of our first responders are part of this beloved community. So yes, I do believe she not only has to make sure that the community is safe, but that our first responders are safe in her room. Um, but what
Okay,
I
hold on right there.
what
Hold on right
but I
there. Hold on right
but
there,
what I'm
Melissa.
saying is
Before
what I
we go
want to
further,
see.
hang on, because that wasn't my point. Her wording was that her job as the chief and public safety director was to make sure that the officers, and she only said officers, gets home safe at the end of their shift. So
Yes, and that's
I had to correct her and say that her job was not only the officers, it was everybody, including the
yeah,
community. So
yes, and that's what I'm
I did
saying.
not
That's
hold
what
on.
I'm
I want
agreeing.
to make hold on. I want to make it clear because a lot of people do pay attention to what's being said on the show. I did not exclude officers. She excluded the community. So I wanted to make sure that it was everybody, not just her officers. So we're kind of saying the same thing, but
Yes, yes,
by you
and
kind of
yes, we are. No, but
yeah,
I
by
was
you
trying to.
recapping it, almost makes it seem like I want her to only care about the community and not the officers. No, I want her to care about everyone. I don't. I think the only
Yeah,
one
and
missing the point is her. She's not
yeah,
understanding that her
this
job
is
is
what
the
I'm
rest of us.
saying, and that's exactly what I was saying. I'm not here to say they don't need this funding and they don't need that funding. They need whatever they need to be able to do their job. And I'm willing to support that 1000%. But I know that my community needs to see more and needs to get more from this administration when it comes to violence prevention. I
Well,
need to see.
Melissa, I get that. And you want to give them all the tools, but they're getting the funding. But are they utilizing the tools? Like, are they actually using that money for the betterment of the community, or is it for her budget? That's what that's where I think that a lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, look at her budget, look at what she's getting. She's putting in for this grant, or she's getting this money. But what changes are we seeing within the community? We're seeing it
and
getting
and and,
worse.
and this
And
is
and
why
and here's
and
another
this,
point. Here's another point. I just want to drive this one home. We were seeing rats over here in Fairlawn. They started seeing them in Woodlawn, and and I'm going to tell you, only when John, what's his name, John Barry or whatever his name was, that was on the council, when his dog got a hold of a rat, then all hell was breaking loose. And you know something? They've once they stop migrating over there, and those those counselors start getting phone calls, that's when, oh, well, wait a minute, we have a big rat problem.
no, and to be quite honest, I have seen in
I'm not making this a rat thing, but I'm
so
I'm
no
just
no
letting
no
you
what
know,
I'm saying, yes, I
when
get what you're
problems
saying. So
when
what I'm
problems migrate to the other side, that's the only time that they take
yeah,
initiative to do
the
something.
the gun violence is no longer just in District 5. It's all over the place in Pawtucket. We don't know when it's happening, where it's going to happen, or who is going to be involved because tensions are high right now. Just the potential of retaliation for the amount of homicides we have had over the last 2 years is a risk. Never mind the amount of people that we have with mental health concerns, amongst others. Sorry, guys, because my baby wants to be part of the show today. So, here you go. You're welcome. Um, sorry, life of a mom. um, so Lynn, just to get back to what you were saying about, we're giving them all of this. What are they doing for us? And that's exactly what I'm saying. I think that we need some more. We need to see that these partnerships and these you know supports that we have in the community and the services that we have in the community are being used, and that these agencies all have a strong relationship with our law enforcement, and that the services are reaching the most delicate population we have here in the city. That's really what my point is. I agree with you that, like, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're voting for this, we're voting for that. And I am the counselor at large. I got the most votes in the last election. Um, and I have been a nonviolent advocate for over a decade. This is what the voters know me as. I have all this experience of doing this in the city, and that instead of the administration finding a way for us to build this front together, they have shut the door on changing their ways. And it's the pandemic. If we're still in the middle of a pandemic, if you're still doing anything the same that you were doing prior to February of 2020, if you're trying to address violence the same way that you were doing it pre-COVID, you're definitely doing it wrong. At this time, we need people to conform to what's happening in the community and to find ways, despite how you valuable or unvaluable you might think it is, because anything that we can do to save any one of these young men and women's life, I think, is worth a try.
Well, that's my point is they only notice when it happens in their neighborhood. But for years now, they've ignored, haven't come over. You used to see, like I said, Paul King, or like even Al Vitale showed up at a couple of you know, the crime scenes or whatever. But you're not seeing, other than you, getting involved. And they really need to at this point, because it's gonna happen in their neighborhood. Because just like the rats left Fairlawn, left Woodlawn, and they're over there in Darlington, this is going to get over there, twofold. It's going to be just as bad over there as it is here, unless Tina Gonsalves steps in and does her job, whether she does it as the chief of police or the public safety director. She's getting a shit ton of money. And I'm sorry, she's getting a lot of money to do a job. And when I see that her mileage could possibly be because she went to a parade, I want her in our city when crime is going on, when there is a crime scene, when there is a stabbing, when there is a shooting. I want her here. I don't want her at a parade just putting her uniform on and acting like everything's great. Because you know what? The city of Pawtucket is becoming a big shithole. That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of them ignoring the problems. She doesn't even belong in that position. I don't know of anything positive that Tina has done since she has become chief. And I never see her face. I don't see it on the news. I don't hear that she's at any of these crime scenes. And I do see that she's at the mall. She's at her sister's house. She's everywhere, but in the city that she's getting a paycheck from. That's what I have to say.
Melissa's still there.
I am sorry. I have.
So I have been watching some of the council meetings too, and I'm not expecting you to touch base on any of this, Melissa, but I just wanted to make it clear that a lot of the crimes that are happening at, specific types of establishments in the city. And I know that this we mentioned something in the comments. She's saying they need to follow Providence. The violence is now in Darlington. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tiffany. It is meeting at the other side of the city, and now it seems like everybody cares. Now it seems like President Moran gives a damn, which he doesn't give a damn or anything else happening in the city to anyone else. But now he seems to care. But my problem that I've been watching lately, um, besides the crappy attitude of some of these white men sitting on the council, what I don't even know what that's all about. Everybody's like pulling a little titty fit all over the place. Getting all annoyed with certain subjects that are being brought up. That's their job. You know, um, suck it up, Buttercup. We're paying you guys a lot of money. I'm not talking to you, Melissa. I see you doing what you need to do. I'm not saying it because you're the only one on here. I'm saying it because it's the truth. We have so many subcommittees coming off the council that no one's actually meeting about. That um, the superior white men on the council want everything brought in front of them, brought to their attention, because it's almost like they
But
have
see,
different sub. Huh?
um, just because I just wanted to cut you off because I didn't. I wanted to say something before you went there because you had said something about my fellow counselor Ilana. And so I can't attest for anything that, in the past prior to me being in the council, but I will say that um, I do feel supported in some ways. And I do feel supported by Ilana and I do feel supported by Clovis. I have yet to bring something to their attention or bring to them that they have not tried or attempted to figure a way to either guide me or to support me in that role. I've sent some communications. They're always, there to second it and to vote, to support me to get that. I mean, it's not their fault if the response is not there or what the response is.
Okay.
So, but I do think that uh, it's a different time in that the violence is spread out and that people
Yeah.
are paying attention and that um, it
Yeah.
is
And I
it
and I
is
and I
it is
and I
time
respect
for
I
people,
respect what you
and
just said. I respect what you just said about Vasquez. It's just that before you came in, she had been mute, and we thought with the
well, she
reinforcement
might
of
have
another
not
minority
felt
female.
she might have not before this, had all the support that she needs. I think
Well,
that
that's where I'm
it's
going.
it's it's
Hold on one
cool
second,
now
Melissa.
that
Hold on one second. That's where I'm going.
mm,
Let me just finish because I don't want to seem like I'm being negative and I'm being corrected. Um, I felt like when you became councilwoman at large, that should have gave her a feeling of here comes some reinforcement, and now I can finally stand up and say something. And then when Clovis was added to the picture, right? Because even before Clovis, um, we had Alma, right? So things were starting to balance off, but I still don't see her doing too much as an individual. I'm not even asking you to answer for her. I'm just saying what everyone else seems to see. She's still not doing enough as at large. She's not really motivated to do things on her own unless someone tells her to. And even when you tell her to, I'm still not seeing it. But that wasn't even my point at this time. My point was how the violence is now spreading into the other districts, and now the white men sitting on the council want to care, right? You got Mark getting all upset because of how much time is being wasted on dealing with these nightclub situations or whatever. You know what? The council is choosing to do that. I mean, there's a paycheck involved here when people are sitting on the council, and it's involved because we're expecting that the subcommittees are meeting to make decisions, and people are actually actively working on a decision versus waiting for the council meeting to come up and then just be information thrown at them by Milos that's leading them to make a decision right away or vote, right? So I understand the frustration where business owners are getting upset with the council because decisions are being made, licenses are being pulled, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's very simple, right? I think we've had this conversation before, and I'm not trying to say anything directly to you because I know there's 9 of you that vote. I'm just putting this information so that anyone watching or listening can understand how voting matters, right? It matters who you vote for because at the end of the day, you want someone that's gonna do what's right for the community. And to me, it just seems so simple. I hate to see you guys so frustrated over, licenses coming in front of you and violence at certain places coming in front of you. Okay, uh, some of your colleagues like get very openly annoyed, but at the end of the day, it's so simple. Um, while they have police detail, nothing's happening. No lives are being lost in Pawtucket when there's a police there, when there's a detail there. And the minute the detail disappears, there's a shooting. To me, it's a no brainer. Keep the detail there. If it's working, why you pulling it? Why are we lifting our feet for? Put your foot down and keep it down. Any establishment that has anybody drinking and acting a fool after 10 o'clock should have a police detail. It's so simple, and you guys won't even have to waste 2 hours of your time every meeting. And our time, we're watching too. We're not getting paid to watch, but you guys are getting paid to sit there. And this is not directed to you, Melissa. This is directed to those who get overly dramatic over it, like Marks and the Morans and the Mercers. I'll name them. I don't care. Um, they get so extremely upset and emotional over it, and oh my God, we're wasting so much time on this. No, they're wasting time because they want to. It's very simple. We got bigger fish to fry. We got people being killed in the streets. Put the police detail for any establishment after 10 o'clock that has alcohol beverages. They're making money in alcohol, then that's it. But when you have things happening, I just don't understand what's so hot about making police detail mandatory.
Seems pretty easy, right? They're making money on the alcohol. They got a
Yeah,
chance that some violence could happen.
I think we
Why
may have
not?
lost Melissa. Looks like we may have lost her.
Oh, well, I'm just going to throw in there that, you know, if they're serving alcohol and they're no longer serving food, if their kitchen closes at 10, at 10 o'clock, there should be police detail there because they're there for a different reason. They're there because they're going to party until 1 o'clock in the morning. You know that these kitchens are not staying open till 1 o'clock. You know that it is now a nightlife type establishment and they're going to make money on it and everybody's going to be safe. And how can you even put a dollar sign on that? Like,
Right.
why wouldn't you want that for your customers? Why would you want to have anything? Oh, Melissa's calling me. Hold on.
Yeah, it seems very simple. Um, because the whole time that okay, so they had a shooting happening and there was no detail when that shooting happening. And what happened was they were ordered to have police detail. So they get police detail paid for by us. I don't know how President Moran finagled that one, but paid for it by some type of funding or some type of whatever that he pulled to help pay for detail for the club to have a police detail. I think it was like a few months. I don't even know the timeline of it, but they had the police detail for free for a certain amount of time. And then because of good behavior, and mind you, I want you to keep in mind the good behavior was because the police detail was there. They were doing fine. Now, because of the good behavior, the council decided, or it was in the original um, timeline or whatever, that if they had good behavior, they wouldn't need the police detail after a certain amount of time. Well, now the minute you didn't need police detail anymore, and there was no more police detail, another shooting happening. I mean, what are we dealing with? Why are we dealing with 5-year-olds? I mean, I thought we were dealing with grown adults on the council here. and they all claim to be educated. I'm not trying to be rude, but everyone claims to have an education. So when is everyone going to realize that when the police detail was there, it was good behavior? Why not keep the police detail there? Because once you dismiss the police detail, what you had was another shooting that ended up death resulting. To me, it's not rocket science, my people. It's very simple, and I don't understand what type of degree you need or what type of title you need in the city to understand why police detail works. It should be put there and it should be kept there. No one else should have to deal with a loss because someone's having, good behavior, and all of a sudden, no more police detail is needed. I don't even know who thinks that that's a good idea because clearly they're not hiring a security company that works professional enough to know that we just had an incident happen inside. We probably shouldn't let these people leave at the same time. We probably should keep this person inside until outside is clear. And I'm not saying I've done the work. I've done security. I've worked at a bouncer. I've worked with security. I've done all this stuff to know that it's so simple that I don't understand. It's just not even funny that no one on the council gets it as educated as they.
Melissa had just called me. She can't get back on. We've been on for a little while anyway. Sorry. Um, but what else can we add to this tonight? I know that there's been a lot going on. Maybe we could, you know, talk about something positive. Is there anything positive that you've come across, Chris, lately?
Well, I know that there's been a couple of things going on throughout the city. I've seen some plugs that they're hiring again. I mean, I wouldn't suggest any minority take a shot at it just yet because there's a lot of cleaning up that still needs to be done. But they're hiring for the fire, they're hiring for the police. Um, and like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody not to go. I just wouldn't want my child or any minority in my family signing up just yet because it's still not a good environment once they get in. Um, there are some positive things going on. I know that I was with Pat Ford earlier today. He was able to pick up some stuff that he's going to be donating somewhere in the state later on this week. Um, there's also something that I'm going to be sharing on my post soon about a 5K coming up in support of women, Caribbean women with cancer. I know that the festival is happening on July 10th, and the 5K is also happening on July 10th. Anybody who wants more information about that can actually inbox me, and I can point you in the right direction to John Benrose, who's actually working on that. Um, so there's a lot of different events coming up in the city, and we'll definitely be able to plug some of that in the upcoming weeks. We're gonna have different guests on the show. If you guys would like to be a guest on our show, please leave us a comment, send us an
Absolutely.
inbox. We
Yeah.
definitely want to talk to different people in the community that have a take on Pawtucket, Eyes on Pawtucket. We're not just keeping an eye on the Pawtucket Police Department. We're not just keeping an eye on the council. We're not just keeping an eye on city stuff. Gotta keep an eye on everything.
And
So
I didn't, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but there are going to be a few people, their names in the hat, for the mayor's position. I know that there's a few people that are going to be running against Don Grebian this time around. And, they're going to need some good supporters behind them that can get out there and get the word out. So that's going to be big.
yes, absolutely. We definitely need to get people, more motivated to run for these seats. I not only want to see somebody run for mayor, I want to see more people running for council.
Right.
You know, we'll never have change as long as we have the same people that's been there for decades still there, because those people don't want change.
And they
want
don't
everything to
even know the charter. You know, a lot of them don't even know the charter. And, you know, I think that after many years of being on the council, they should pretty much know the charter because they've been the ones that have been voting for these ordinances and things. So I think that that's definitely, we need new faces. We need people that are active, like Melissa DeRosa. And Melissa and I don't get along on everything. Don't you know, get that wrong, people. Melissa and I, you know, we've had our discussions that got pretty heated. But she's there to listen. And, you know,
Yeah,
she's definitely one that takes everybody's situation, everybody's thoughts and everything into consideration when she's voting, when she's looking into things. She's definitely, you know, and like I said, we've had some heated discussions and she doesn't always agree with what I have to say and I don't agree with her, and that's okay. But at least she's there to listen and to weigh out, you know, the best thing that
right,
she thinks is going to happen for the community.
right.
The other thing
And
that I wanted,
sometimes she cares like us. She cares a little too much,
right?
and she's trying to play both sides of the fences, and a lot of people see that as a negative thing, but that's actually a good thing because that's what peacemakers should do. Um, is try to cater to both and see what plan can come up with to work for both sides, right? Because the cities are so one sided, and they always look at it like it's us against them, when really we're just trying to come to a common ground. Um, the problem is that she cares a lot and they don't care at all. So they don't understand where she's coming from. And she has a lot of faith that they're human and that they're going to care someday. I don't see it happening because they're so used to not giving a damn. Um, People take it the wrong way when I said, well, the president of the council changed. It's not that I have anything against Moran. I don't have anything against Moran. I just think Moran is stuck in his ways. He does not have the ability to train the new council. Okay,
Right.
the new council don't know what their duties are. When I kind of come across a little tough on Vasquez, it's not her fault. She doesn't know what her duties are. She doesn't know what her position entails, and nor are they telling her. They don't want them to know what they're capable of. They don't want the at large to know how much power they have to do the right thing. They're not telling them any of this. What they're doing is there's three white men on the council that want to be in charge of everybody's thinking. They want to be in charge of everyone's vote. They want to be in charge of everything that makes it onto the agenda. They're getting their way because they had no training for the new folks to let the new folks know that, yes, you can have a voice. So they're trying to control everything and it's still being controlled by them. And like I said, it's nothing against them as a person, but as councilmen. And the three that are taking charge or acting like they're in charge of everything, they're not even at large. They're regular councilmen for their district. But they've got the at larges thinking that for some reason they're in charge. The president is supposed to keep order, yet he lets his councilmen act fool, and act like children when they're sitting on the council. Yet if we go and do public input, it's a problem when we addressing someone the wrong way. It's all a hot mess, you know. I don't even see a point of public input anymore because the more we talk, the more they fight against what it is that we
Yeah,
like.
they don't take it into consideration and they ignore it, and then, you know, people get shot and, you know, they could
Yeah,
have stepped in and done something.
exactly.
One of the other positives though, Chris, I did want to mention, I don't know if he's still on or whatever, but the police officer, one of the police officers in my neighborhood, he's doing a wonderful job. He's new. I believe he's pretty new, and I'd like to see that following them, like not to get into bad behavior or bad ways. And again, I don't hate all police officers. That's like the furthest thing that could be said about me, but I I dislike bad police officers. And if they can come in like this kid that's on, the patrol over here, if they come in like him, so personable, so nice, very willing to give you his name, his badge number, he's a real sweetheart. If we can have more of him out in the community, I think that we would have great community policing. I think that
Well,
the relationships,
we do
the
have more of
relationships.
him. We have a lot of the new ones that want to work well with the community, and they're very polite and everything. But
That's what
guess
I'd
what?
like to say.
As
What?
soon as the elders get a hold
I
that
know,
we're
I know.
plugging one of them, like you just plugged him, they're gonna be on a hunt to find out who you just plugged. Because now they're gonna go and tease him. Oh, you're being
But
too nice to the community. Oh, Lynn Farinelli, Christine Bento speaking good about you. They're gonna tease them into not wanting to interact with the community anymore. So it's the elders, it's the older ones that are jackasses that are kind of training the new ones to not be so nice. Pawtucket Police is not known for community policing. They don't want it.
no, I
And,
know,
it-
I
and
know.
that and that comes
I
from the
just
mayor and the chief.
I just wanted to put a positive out there that, I mean, if we can turn our police department around, maybe the older ones can take, you know, lessons from the ones coming in, because they've got it. They want to talk to you. They want,
Right.
to find out, oh, do you live in this neighborhood? Or, I mean, this, and I'm not going to say what shift he works, and I'm not going to say where I've run into him, but I've run into him 2 or 3 times now, and I have to say, hands down, really nice guy, very personable. And maybe the older ones need to start taking lessons from the new hires, just on how to be a person again, how to have those morals and values again.
Well,
You know,
I think the older ones need to just leave. To be honest with you, Lynn, I think that they're probably good officers, but not for a diverse community. I think the older ones need to go and just retire from Pawtucket and apply in the communities in which they live. If they live in Cumberland, they need to go apply in Cumberland. If they live in Lincoln, go apply in Lincoln. If they live in Warwick, go apply in Warwick. Go to where you live. Most people choose to live where they're comfortable, right? So if most of these white officers are not okay working with diverse communities and they want to live in whiter communities because that's what they choose, they should go work where they're happy. Be happy with what you're doing. Everyone should be happy with their job and they'll do it better. They go work where they're comfortable and leave us alone. Make room for some of these rookie younger officers that are more hip to the times, and they were probably in school with a more mixed variety of people. Some of them are local, some of them went to school in like Providence and Pawtucket and Central Falls, where they're so used to the diversity. Let those come in. So I'm not saying get rid of all the white cops. I'm not saying that at all. I know a lot of white cops that are more diverse than some of these minority police officers. But those who are not comfortable working with diverse communities, don't don't apply in Pawtucket. Pawtucket's not the place for you. Pawtucket's too. We have too many minorities here. Okay, we outnumber the whites. So don't come apply here. If you know, nobody knows themselves better than themselves. You know that you don't like minorities, get the hell out of here. Nobody's calling for you. Go work somewhere else. And that includes the chief. This message is for the chief. This message is for, the Banos. This message is for the Laternos. This message is for the Rosaries. It's messages for the Driscolls. Anybody who has a problem with working with minorities and seeing them as an equal, just honorably take that badge off and go apply somewhere else. And there's so many other places in Rhode Island they can go. Rhode Island is big, okay, and Rhode Island has a lot of places that only welcome mostly whites, right? Go to Chepachet. Go to, I can name them for you. Go to
But you
Coventry.
know what? You know what, Chris? I mean, the thing is, they're not making a good name for themselves here anyway, because we know who to watch out for.
Right.
We knew Dolan, we knew that name. We knew what was going to happen. We went to the council, we went to the mayor, we went to the chief, we went to IA, we went everywhere. And what happened? He still shot somebody. But you know what?
Right.
We knew that name. We knew bad officer. That's
And
the name.
all
That
the
was the
officers that
name.
all the officers I just mentioned, they don't live in Pawtucket. Right? They live, so they can go apply in Foster, they can go apply in Cumberland, Lincoln. You know, props to Bano. He got the hell out. You know, he knew he was garbage, so he walked himself over the line into where he lives. East
Right.
Providence. That's where he belongs. That's where he fits in.
That's where
So
Tina
that's what
needs to go.
they
Tina
all need to
needs,
do the same thing that Bano did. Get out of here. Go work where you're from. Okay. Go harass your neighbors. They'll know where to find you, and leave us alone. And
right.
then that's how we're going to see a better police department. And that's when I will finally say, hey, all the minority children that want to be police officers, go apply for Pawtucket, because you know what? We lost so many jerks. They all went to their hometowns. Now there's plenty of room for us to fill in with those that understand our people and want to be around our people. I think we should
And
probably
take
end the show with that. That's actually a very good point.
And take Tina, for instance. I mean, what kind of a name is she making for herself? Does she even care? Like, when she's done here, and she will be done, when she's done here, where is she going to go? That this invisible chief and all this other stuff isn't going to follow her. Come on, it's going to follow her. I mean, how many times can we shout her name that, she sucks? I'm sorry. Point blank, she sucks.
But how many
We need,
times have we seen her be amused by being told that? She takes it as a joke. She thinks it's amusing.
Yeah, well, you know something? I didn't name her the Invisible Chief. Her department did, and they leaked it to me, and there you go. So it wasn't me that was seeing that she was invisible. Her department was noticing that she was invisible. And maybe that's where, we need a stronger chief, to take care of all the little Indians. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
come on.
Hopefully, with a
Everybody.
new administration, we'll have a new everything, and the new people are going to have a hell of a job, sifting through what's been going on already. And
Yeah.
it'll
They
be
don't
a
have
long
leadership
process.
down there. They don't have leadership. And when you don't have leadership, it goes back to Don Grebian. He's more apt to, look for places to spend money for, these crazy ideas that he has, rather than put the money back into the community where it belongs, and try to help our community move forward, because it's not going to move forward without some really good leadership. And he's not it, and the chief is not it.
Right. And I think that we're looking forward to having a great show next week, and hopefully we can invite Melissa back on to come give us some updates if she has any. Um, and you know, like I said, we're always gonna have something to talk about, and hopefully it just gets better and not worse. I think that going forward, um, like I see Tiffany right in the comments, she agrees that these establishments need to have their licenses pulled if they can't protect their people, their patrons. If I go out for a drink and I'm gonna go to anywhere, a lounge or a bar, whatever, I want to know that the chances of me making it back home to my children are pretty high. I'll trust more if I see, you know, a cop standing at the door, rather than trusting a club owner or a bouncer to if it's not even working anymore. There are so many um, business owners that are choosing to have a club detail. And look, they have problems, but not any shootings or killings. So if everybody starts to follow suit, then the council won't have to waste 2 hours of our time and their time to figure out what to do.
Well,
So
the
I like
level
to,
of violence, Chris, I mean, back in the day, a bouncer would be fine. The level of violence with these weapons and everything, we need police officers to be there on the scene
exactly,
right then,
right,
as the patrons are coming in and as they're leaving. And that's,
right.
we really need that kind of security. But, oh, my phone's ringing
So
again.
we're gonna end on that note, and I'm gonna remind everybody, please go check out the coalition on YouTube. Subscribe to the page so you can, find out when all the different shows are on.
Hold on,
There's
we're
so many
almost done.
different shows. You'll always find something that you like on there. Always someone talking about something that is interesting to different people in the different states of Rhode Island, in the different cities in Rhode Island. Ford goes everywhere. He's into everything. So chances are you're gonna find something that you like on there. If you're from Pawtucket or interested in what's going on in Pawtucket, go and click like on our page and share some of our content. Leave us a comment. Support any which way that you can. On Eyes on Pawtucket. That's EYEZ. And you can also support us by buying a t-shirt, a sweatshirt. Our producer Keyshawn, who's awesome, he is operating some of those pages, and he's made some sweatshirts available. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can buy, either where it says the logo of the coalition or Eyes on Pawtucket. Everything takes money, gas and cars to get us to different locations. Pat travels the entire state, and he can use all the support that he can get. And if you see some advertisement and before our show, please make sure you visit your local businesses that support us. Give them business so they can continue to support us. So it's all about networking, guys. And there's beauty in unity. I say that all the time. And Lynn, we want to say thank you so much again for all the work you do behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. We're going to have some pretty interesting talks coming up with a few other people next week. And like I said, if you guys are interested in being on the show, or if you have a topic that you want us to discuss, feel free to inbox us or let us know. Um, Councilman Melissa DeRosa got disconnected earlier. Her laptop, I think, died or something had happened. She couldn't get back on. We want to send her a huge shout out and a thank you for coming on with us, shedding some light on what's going on at the other end. Um, you know, we don't mean to disrespect our colleagues and everything. Well, I do mean to disrespect colleagues. But it's not that I'm trying to call her out or put her on the spot or anything. It's just sometimes we like to know what they're thinking on the other end, because I just don't get it. Why we have 2022 minorities are starting to get into seats of power, but we still have no voice because it gets ignored.
I
So
see
thank
things
you so
moving
much,
forward
Lynn.
for 2022. I really do. Have a great night, guys.
Yes, have a good
Always,
night. Stay
always
safe.
great to
Thank you
see the
so much, Lynn.
supporters.
All
Oh,
right,
thank
thank
you,
you so
Chris.
much, and thank you, Kayshawn. Thank you, Pat. See
Yep.
you
Good night,
guys.
guys.